Hello, everyone. Welcome to 2025. Today is January 3rd, 2025, and we are doing the first wiki class of the year here at WikiGG. Today we are doing a mini, and we are going to talk about Lua. So this is going to be a very, very quick introduction to Lua. We aren't going to build anything exciting today. So as you can see, we're on the sandbox wiki, the sandbox test not intended for actual content. And we're currently looking at the args-util module. This module is it's installed on every single wiki that has the default loadout wiki. And if it's not on your wiki, then you can copy it from the default loadout wiki. And if you need help doing that, you can ask any member of WikiGG staff. So in short, you can assume that this wiki is present on, you can assume that this module is present on your wiki, and if not, you can ask for help getting it installed. So what we're going to talk about today is how to use this module to start getting arguments from your wiki and how to start writing code. So we're not going to write any exciting code today. We're just going to talk about how to get arguments, what arguments are, and how to start writing code. This is the second mini class that we're doing. Last time, the mini class lasted 45 minutes. My goal is to be under 45 minutes. My goal is to be about 15 to 20 minutes. We'll see how well we can do. We're starting around 1:19 a.m., so my goal is to be done by approximately 1:35 a.m. We'll see what we can do. All right. Args-util over here, we're going to create a module called add1, and let's see how we can do. So I do not have syntax highlighting on in my browser, so apologies in advance for any syntax bugs that I make for not having syntax highlighting. But let's see. I do recommend using syntax highlighting, and then you won't have those problems. So we're going to start out by writing local p gets an empty table, and then we're going to return p. This is the first thing that you should write in any module that you start, okay? Because if you don't have this, then you basically have a syntax error. Some people like writing something totally different, like return add. This is legal, okay? You can write this if you want to, but you have to pick some variable name, and if you don't have this, then you have a syntax error, and you have to start out by making this package and then returning it. And it has to be a table, and then you have to return it. Okay, if you don't have this, you have a syntax error. I like using p for, again, return package. I don't have to make any decision. Then it's always the same. I can copy paste it. It's just boilerplate code. You don't have to do that, but if you do use that, then your code will be more standard and more similar to other code on other WikiGG wikis, and it'll be easier to copy paste from other people. So I do recommend doing that. And then I'm going to make a function, and I'm going to say and then I'm going to say end. Okay, so I've made a function, okay, and then I'm calling this function main, and then it's taking one argument, which is the frame, and then I'm writing end. We're not actually going to use this variable here. The writing frame here is an indicator that this is the variable, or that this is the function that is going to take user input, okay? By writing frame here, we're saying this is going to take user input. Frame is kind of the boundary between Lua and MediaWiki, and it's the whole way that you interact between all of the stuff inside of Lua and inside of the Lua interpreter, and all of the stuff inside of MediaWiki and inside of the MediaWiki parser. So by putting frame here, I'm indicating to the reader of the code that this is the frame object is being passed to main because I'm expecting to get arguments from the MediaWiki parser to this function that is then going to be executed by the Lua interpreter. This frame object is not going to be used, okay? A frame object will be used, but it's not going to be this one, and I could delete this and the code would execute. So you might be wondering later on when I run this, like, isn't this variable not going to be used? And I'm going to answer you right now, no, this variable is actually going to be unused, and if this were a proper IDE with syntax highlighting, it would get like a little green underline, and you'd be like, this variable is not being used. Why did you put it here? Grr, do you have some mistake? Well, okay, no, it's not a mistake. It's an indication to the user. So, like, maybe I could put underscore frame here and be like, yeah, hey, PyCharm, I know I'm not using it. It's here. as just a note that it could be used if I wanted to. Okay, we're not we're not using it, but we could. It's a signal. So function p.main, writing this syntax, okay, the syntax function p.main. P.main means that I'm inserting this function into the table P. So an equivalent way to write this would be to write something like this. I never do it this way, but I think you do something like this. This might be wrong. I never do it this way. But the point is that I don't want to show you wrong syntax. I don't remember how you write the syntax if you're going to put a function directly into a table. I hate doing it. I think it looks really messy. Some people like doing it. If you're seeing code written by other people, you might see it that way. They're not doing it wrong. They're doing it the way that they like doing it, and they might think that the way that I do it is stupid and horrible. Different people have different stylistic ways to do it. It's okay. I just want you to know that that's the same thing. We're inserting this function main into P, and so when we return P, main is inside of P, okay? So main, we're saying like function p.main. So if we said function main, suddenly main is a global function. So you might see someone write local function main, and then it's a local variable, okay? But by saying function p.main, then it's still not global, right? So, okay, this is a global function. This is a local function. This is neither global nor local. It's an main is an index in the table P, and then its value is function p.main. Okay, so hopefully by now you more or less understand that like the syntax that we have so far. So we have that we're making a table, and then we're going to return it at the end, and then we're putting a function inside of the table, and then we're also going to signal to the reader that this is going to be taking information from the MediaWiki parser, and that's it. That's all we've done so far, basically. So if we save it at this point, so I'm just going to save the page now. As you can see, it saves. So if let me write like I'm going to delete this brace, okay? And then you can see like it's not going to save because there's like literally a syntax error here. So if the page saves, then you've got like a first level sanity check that you don't have a major syntax error, okay? Because if it's literally invalid syntax, the page won't save. So if it saves, that's good. Like, right, that's like a first step towards, okay, cool, cool, we saved. We're on the right track, right? That doesn't mean your code is correct. Like, right, we're at module add one, so presumably we want to be adding one to something, and I don't think we're adding one to anything yet. But at least we're saving, so we're on the right track. So this is a good starting point, and I will put this code somewhere. I'm going to link this code. So hopefully this code should be in the video description. And we'll and we'll I'm like, shut up. And we'll put the this code in the video description, and you'll be able to copy this to your own modules afterwards if you want to work with it. So now let's actually make the code do something. So I was talking about this args-util module, and this module is what we want to talk about actually using today. Okay, so we're not actually using it yet. And so in order to use it, we have to make sure that this add1 module knows about the args-util module. So the way that we're going to get add1 to know about args-util is that we're going to write this, which is okay, so this is how imports work in Lua. So we are making a local variable, and this is the naming convention that I like to use. util_args is my naming convention whenever I'm importing it specifically on a utility library, such as args-util, such as other custom libraries like string util, math util, whatever kind of other utility library that I've coded for myself on my own wiki. I'll do util underscore whatever. And then, so this is my naming convention. You put the local keyword here to make sure that it's a local variable because you don't want to have global variables basically ever. And then you want to use require, and then you put the name of the module here. The name of the module goes in quotes because it's a string. It's not like a language keyword. And then the interpreter will evaluate it, understand it, and then load that data. And what loading that data means is that this return p from the args-util module. So the return p here, right? Because it has p.merge. That will get loaded into util args over here, and then we'll be able to use that in this entire module. And so let me talk very quickly about scoping. If this next bit doesn't make sense to you, that's okay. Don't worry about it. But notice that this function, all of this stuff is right on the edge over here. Okay, so when I write this function, I'm going to indent and I'm going to put my code here. Right? But this declaration, this import is outside of the function. And that means that I'm going to be able to use this args-util import in the entire module, including any function that I write here. So whether that's the correct thing to do or not may depend on what the code that you're writing is. If you have a single module that has some code that's going to interact with the frame and you do want to use the args-util import, that may not be the right thing to do. Sometimes you may want to scope an import inside of a function, and that may be the correct thing to do sometimes. Usually it's going to be a little bit simpler and easier to understand if you put the imports scoped at the top of your function. It makes it easier to see at a glance what all of the dependencies are, but occasionally for performance, you may want to scope something inside of a function. But that's getting into a little bit advanced stuff, so if that doesn't really make sense, if you have any doubts at all whatsoever, just put all of your imports at the top. Okay, so right now we're at a point that we have, so let me save this again. And now let's actually use this. So what we want to do is that we want to have an args object that we can use. So we have one function available to us, which is merge. So I'm going to write, and then again, note the use of the local keyword. You always want to make all of your variables local. And I'm going to write that. Okay, so note, I'm not using frame. That is just notice to the user that this is a public function that is interacting with the MediaWiki parser, but you don't actually have to send it. We will get the current frame here and use it there. So we don't have to send this to util-args. We'll get it ourselves. And then I'm going to write my function, which is going to be, I want to write return. Okay, and I'm pretty sure I don't have to cast this as a number because it's low. So I'm going to add 1. We'll see if I got this wrong. But I'm pretty sure this will work. Okay, yeah, I think this will work. Let's just do this the other way just in case. Cool, okay. So, we'll talk a little bit about what this part means, but this part is we're adding 1, right? So I'm next going to show you how we can use this. So I'm going to make a template now. So we made include only tags, and then we used we put the invoke here, and then we have close include only tags. So what's going on here is that this is how you use a module. The invoke keyword is part of the so basically there's not something to understand here. This is something to memorize. Okay, this is how you pull a module into MediaWiki. The invoke keyword is kind of like if you know how to use like if like if this makes sense. Okay, so maybe this makes sense to you, maybe it doesn't, but if you know what like the if parser function is, invoke is a parser function, just like if, just like pose for position, just like cargo store, oops, right? All of these things are parser functions. Invoke is nothing more than a parser function that happens to have a very, very complicated implementation, and invoke will invoke the Lua interpreter to run the module. Which module? Well, the module add1. Now, add1 could have multiple functions, right? We have the function p.main, but we could also have, like, we could have another function. Like, say we have this function, and then we say we also have this function. Like, whoa, what do we do now? Right? How do we know which function add? Well, that's the second parameter. So this is all you need to know in order to run Lua code, is you need to know which module and which function. So those are the two parameters that you give to the invoke. The first one is which module, the second one is which function. So we could have another, we have this template, right? So we saved this. And so then we could have another one, and then we could have a template called add2, and then we can have main2. Right? And then these are different from each other because add1 calls main1 or calls main, and then add2 calls main2, and then that will return 2 plus args1. Okay, so we have this page that does math, and then we're going to say add1, and then we're going to put 3, and let me make sure that actually works. Yeah, so, and then let's add 2, whoops, to 3. So we have, and then let's like, so let's say 3 plus 1 equals, and then let's say 3 plus 2, right? And then we can like see on the page that it's working, right? So we have 3 plus 1 equals 3, and then we have 3 plus 2 equals 5 over here, right? So 3 plus 2, so add 2 is add 2 to 3 is giving 5, and then add 1 to 3 is giving 4. And then I also want to write this one other way, okay? So let's do 3 plus 1 equals, and then let's write invoke add1 main 3, and then let's write main 2, and then let's save this page. Actually, we probably want preview. So let's use, and I definitely meant 2 here. Okay, so what's going on here? Okay, so remember in the add1, we're calling main, which is adding 1, and in the main2, we're calling main2, which is adding 2 to it, okay? So that's the only difference between the two. And basically with that example, I wanted to show you that it's possible to call it 2 different functions. So I don't want to keep that like extra level of complexity here with the 2 different functions to be possible. So now that you can see that like how you call the 2 different functions, I want to kind of get rid of that example, and I just want to talk about calling main. So it's too complicated to add 2, so let's just add 1. And let's talk about the 2 different ways that you can add 1. So in one of the ways, I actually want to, hold on. I want to show you with 2 windows next to each other. So let me, whoops. Hold on. Okay, so let me make my windows a little smaller. So I don't have a window manager, guys. So let me go to recent changes, and then go to whoops, I want template add1. Okay, so you can see over here I have like add1 main, and then that's like the same code that I have here, except that I have the 3 inside of here, and then over here I have the 3 over here. So these these things look pretty similar to each other, right? So in this example, I'm calling to the template add 1, and then I'm putting the 3 over here. So that 3, and then let me draw my screen a little bit. So that 3 kind of travels over here and then gets dumped in as the third argument over here. And in this case, they're just like all together squished up over here. And somehow they over here become the same thing. So what's going on that we can do these two different things where it becomes exactly the same to either we can put this argument over here directly inside of the invoke here, or we can use this template and somehow magically the invoke that's all the way over here inside of the add 1 template over here just knows about the context of having this 3 that was right, like this invoke here, there's no arguments inside of this invoke. This invoke, the only thing that this invoke knows about is the name of the module and the name of the function. And somehow, when we call into this template and we tell this template, well, okay, this is the parameter that I want, this is the argument that I want this 3, it's able to pull all of this context of this 3, it's able to pull it as the parameter all the way here when you call this template add 1. So how can this template know about its parent over here? When over here, we just supplied it directly, right? Because in both cases, we get the same identical output. So that's the question, okay? And really, the only answer that you need to know is, well, okay, it's magic that happens over here. So if you are happy with, oh, it's magic that happens in args-util, like, I mean, that's all you need to know. Like, util args.merge does that magically for you. So these are the two ways that you can supply arguments to your invoke, and both of them will just work as long as you're using this args-util. So I want to show you one more thing very quickly, which is that instead of args1, so let me make one more function. So let me write this, and I'm going to call it named, okay? And then I'm going to write args, and then I want to actually, I want to do one final one, actually. Whoops. Ba-dum-bum. So okay, so these two are exactly the same, okay? Main named and main named 2 these are exactly identical ways to write the same thing. Okay, so this is a named arg. So args1 with the bracket over here is going for the first ordered parameter. Okay, so like this is so let me edit this template that also, so below this, I'm going to write param1. I don't want to be a bad example to you, so I'm going to put a pipe here because you should always put a pipe here. So I've edited this template, and so you can see, like, I just wanted to show you, like, what 1 means, right? Like, args with the bracket and the 1 here means like brace, 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 1, brace, brace, brace. Okay, that's what that means. And then when I have this like 3 over here, you might think like, okay, well, but like, aren't there 2 parameters before here? And like, okay, it's a little iffy. Okay, it's a little. That's a precise technical term for it. Okay, so like this is like parameter -1, okay, and this is parameter 0, and this is parameter 1, okay? Like, just, okay, this is -1, and this is 0, and this is 1, and just deal with it, okay? -1, 0, 1, and when you do it, that's how it is. And then if I put it like, oh, G here, that's 2, and then this is 3, and this is 4, and this is 5, okay? Like, that's how it is, okay? Inside of invoke, it's -1 and 0, and then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's just how invoke is. And It doesn't make any sense, but it has to be because you have to supply the name of the module and you have to supply the function, and then you can start supplying args1, okay? And that's just how it has to be for invoke to work. That's just how it is. And because it would be everyone's nightmare if invoke were not the same as template. So invoke is the same as template, and both of them start at 1, and that's just how it is, okay? So so this is 1, right? Or like this 3 here. Sorry, it's confusing because I pick numbers. So this 3 is 1, and it's like 1. So the 3 is the 3 is 1. Okay, I hope you get it. So okay, so this is the first ordered parameter that's present. Okay, and I have a blog post. Hold on, I have a blog post that will also link in the video description. I swear to you, it'll be linked in the video description. I like absolutely promise you it'll be in the video description. Okay, and so so you can read that article if you want to know more about like ordered versus unordered parameters. Okay, anyway, so so for named parameters, we'll do this I'll show you this example real quick. Okay, so I'm gonna make a template called like add one again, I guess I'll call it. So I just want to copy this real quick because I don't want to type more. Add one again, and then I don't want to write this. So instead of main, I think I want main named. And then so I want to write again, and then I want to write main named. Okay, and then I want to write name. Well, okay, so first I want to show you it not working. Okay, so this is not going to work. It's just going to error. So it's looking for a field called number, which, so first of all, this is an example of why you need error handling, because you just have an error here. So we're doing math on something before we check if it exists. And like we didn't check if it exists yet, right? So like what we could do is we could say like if args.number, and then we could error with like oh, you didn't well, let me use this kind of quote. You didn't supply a quote. Oops, a number. So so we can, oh, and then let me put end. Okay, so we can like give a custom error message, and then we can like tell the user something more user friendly. And we could also like do something like have a default value for number. So doing like error handling is very important. So that's like lesson 1 here, is you should do error handling. So, but the actual thing that I wanted to show you is that what it is looking for now, right? Because I have this like args.number, or alternatively the other syntax where you use brackets and then you put number and a quote. So what it is looking for now is that it's looking for number equals 3, and then we can copy this to here. And then ta-da, it's working again. So, okay, so I think this video took about 10 minutes longer than intended. But so because this is done on the Sandbox Wiki, I can't guarantee that these pages are going to stay forever. So I'm going to try and throw some of them into a GitHub repo, which assuming I do that should also be in the video description. So yeah, so you should be able to expect code to be in the video description. If not, I hope that everything was simple enough that just being able to see it in the video is like good enough. But I also hope to do like a bit more of an advanced video so that like I'm actually writing some Lua code that is on a wiki that can be a little bit more permanent so that you can expect to see it. So maybe something on Sorcerer, maybe something on another wiki for an actual real game, Sorcerer's real game. I promise. That you can expect to see more long term. But either way, hopefully this is helpful. Hopefully this helps you understand a little bit like what are arguments, how do arguments work, how do arguments flow through the module, how do you use them in Lua, and what is the args-util module and how do you use it. How does the args-util module work is a little bit out of scope for this. I wouldn't worry about it too much. It's really kind of a little bit magic. You don't really need to know. You don't really need to understand. At some point, you will get fluent enough in Lua that you can look at this and kind of be like, oh, okay, maybe it wasn't that complicated. But if for now this kind of just looks like black magic to you, that's okay. You don't need to understand this. You just need to understand how to use it. So hopefully this page does make sense to you. And if this page makes sense to you, then you have a great foundation to start using Lua on your own wiki. So if you do have questions, you can ask in the wiki.gg Lua help channel. And if you think that your wiki has a good use case that would make a good wiki class for doing like a more robust project with Lua, please let me know, and we can potentially do a wiki class with your wiki. But yeah, for now, thanks for watching this. Have a happy 2025, and I wish you lots of happy wiki editing. Thanks, everyone.